wonderful knitters, to the premiere of my box stitch video. This is a super easy stitch, perfect for beginners. All you need to know is to cast on, to knit, purl, and then just a regular cast off. The stitch itself produces a fabric that lays nice and flat, and it is completely reversible, as you can see in this little swatch that I've knit up. Perfect pattern for baby blankets or just regular blankets, for scarves or any other project. I have two swatches here. One is in a slightly thinner yarn, and this is 100% acrylic, and this one is a 100% cotton yarn in a darker shade. So you can see how it looks in both shades, and I think it looks pretty whether in light or in dark. And before I forget, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe and click on the notifications bell so that you get notified of all my upcoming videos. Now I have a sample going here. In which I've done a couple repeats of the pattern. Now the pattern itself is knit on a multiple of 4 stitches plus 2. So I have cast on here 14 stitches. So that's 12, which is a multiple of 4, and then you add 2 stitches to that. And it is a 4-row repeat, but the good thing is 2 of the rows are the same and the other 2 rows are the same. All right, so row 1, the pattern goes, you knit the first stitch and you knit the second stitch. So you knit 2, and then the pattern repeat is purl 2, knit 2, purl 2, knit 2. Now, when you switch from a knit to a purl stitch, I'm going to show you a trick. Go ahead and purl that first stitch, but you'll notice that if you just go ahead and purl the second stitch, it's going to leave a little bit of a gap. So what I like to do is I like to take the yarn to the back and tug on it a little bit, and then bring it back in the front and purl the second purl. You only have to do this when going from a knit to a purl stitch, and when the next stitch is also going to be a purl. If the next stitch was a knit stitch, you didn't need to do anything. But doing this just tightens up the work a little bit and leaves a little less of a gap right here. Totally optional. If you don't want to do it, don't worry about it. All right, so let me get back. The pattern repeat, purl 2, knit 2. So here we go. We did the purl 2. We're going to do knit 2, and then you keep repeating that all the way to the end of the row. So here we go, purl 2, but because I purled, I'm just going to take it to the back and tighten it up a little bit and purl the second one, and then knit 2 and purl 2. So purl 1, tighten it up a little bit, purl 2 and knit 2. And that is the end of row 1. So purl 2, knit 2 all the way to the end. Then you turn your work for row 2. Row 2 starts, the pattern repeat starts right at the start, but guess what? It's purl 2, knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, all the way to the last 2 stitches. So as I said, super easy. Here we go. Purl 1, purl 2, knit 1, knit 2. And you're going to keep repeating that till the last 2 stitches. So here we go, purl 1, and I'm going to do the same little trick again. Going to tug on it and purl 2, and then knit 1, knit 2, and keep going like this till you get to the last 2 stitches. Give myself a little more yarn here. So purl 1, tug on it a little bit, purl 2, and knit 1, knit 2. And the last 2 stitches, you're going to keep doing that till the last two stitches, you're just going to purl both of them. So purl 1 and purl 2. All right, so that's the end of row 2. And now row 3, identical to row 2. So the exact same thing. You're going to start at purl 1, purl 2, knit 1, knit 2 to the last 2 stitches. So I'm going to speed up through this row 3 here since it's identical to row 2, and we just saw that. So I'm at the end of row 3. I'm going to flip my work, and then I'm going to do row 4. But guess what? Row 4 is the same as row 1. So for row 1, what we had done, we had knit the first 2 stitches, and then the pattern repeat, purl 2, knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, all the way to the end. So see how simple that is? Absolutely easy pattern. And now some of you might think that, well, but sometimes it might be confusing. You don't know when you leave your work where you've left off your work. And if you've stuck with me in the video so far, I'm going to show you a trick to figure out which row you are on. And so let me just finish up with this last row, row 4. And that little trick I taught you to just tighten up the first purl stitch. Again, it's totally optional, but if you do that, your work looks a little nice and tight and you don't get all those little extra holes. All right, and that's it. That's the end of row 4. You're going to turn your work and keep repeating these rows. And so what you'll notice is with each 2 rows, you're forming one of these little boxes right here, alternating. So it's almost like a little mini basket weave. And when you knit a stitch, the side that you're facing when you're knitting, when you knit it, you're going to get V's on this side and you're going to get the little squigglies on the back side, right? So I can tell by looking at this that these 2 stitches were knit, these 2 stitches were purled. Knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, ending with 2 knits. And then on this side, when I flip my work, I know that here I did knit 2 and then these are purls. So for a purl stitch, the side that's facing you has the squiggly, has the purl bump, and the back side has the V. So based on that, you can tell where you're at. And each box only has 2 rows of that particular pattern. So right here, if I've left my work and I come back to it and I want to know, well, I can't remember where I started or which row I need to start on, you can tell by looking at these stitches. There's 2 rows already there, and these are both rows where you had purled, right? So you must have ended on a purl 2, which is why you have 2 purls facing, or rather this way you would have, this way you would have done 2 knits, and that's why you are now, you're facing with 2 knits, which means now you're going to need to do a knit so that you can get V's on this side and the bumps on that side. Does that make it clear? I hope so. Hopefully I haven't messed it up for you. But if not, what I would suggest is just make sure you finish up 4 rows, all 4 rows before you stop your work, or just note down where you're at. Again, the pattern is completely reversible, so there isn't any right side or wrong side. As always, thank you so much for watching and supporting my channel. Any questions, leave them in the comments for me. Any suggestions for videos? I'd love to hear from you guys. And again, thank you so much for joining me on this premiere, and wishing everybody happy knitting.